Good morning, everyone. God bless you, God bless you, God bless you, and may heaven smile down upon you on this beautiful, beautiful day. This is the day that the Lord has made. We shall, we will, and we must rejoice and be glad in it, for God chose to give us the gift of life on today. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. So I pray all is well with everyone today. If you're watching this later on, I pray you had a great day at work today. If you went to work today, I pray that, your day is very prosperous and blessed. I pray you have a testimony to share today. That would be awesome. God has always given us testimonies. So, just waking up this morning is a testimony because it wasn't promised to us. Today was not promised to us. So, it's a testimony just to say, I thank God for waking me up this morning. That's a testimony right there. Amen. Hallelujah. All right, you guys. So, today's message is be careful of who you call your friend. Yes. Be careful of who you call friend. Why? Because the adversary, the devil, is out there and he's trying to find any way that he can to get in and to trick you and to, destroy you. Whatever he can do, whoever he can use, he will. And most times he will use the people that's closest to you, the people that you trust, the people that you chose to let in your life. So you have to beware of people that you choose to get close to. You have to be careful, even of your family. Sometimes he will even use your family members to, do things to mess things up for you or to, deceive you in some kind of a way. So we have to be careful. But today I'm focusing on friends. Like, there are so many situations where I know people who have been betrayed by someone that they call friend. Right? Someone that they chose to trust. Someone that they chose to let in their lives. And, they got very close. And then the next thing you know, boom, they betrayed them. And you're looking at that person like, wow, I thought you were my friend. We all have a situation where we've been through that. I thought you were my friend phase. I thought you were my friend. How could you do this to me? Yes. Yes, we've all been there, right? So the reason why this was kind of on my spirit today is because God gave me a dream about someone who I used to call a friend. And it was weird. So I'm going to give you a little bit of the backstory of me and this person's friendship. But I'm not going to give like all the details because, it would just be a long drawn out story. And I just want to tell you the things that, have to do with what I'm trying to, get at, what God showed me in my dream. So some time ago, probably around 2012, I had a friend. She was also my cousin. But I didn't really know her that well as family. So when we got to know ourselves, it was like on a friendship kind of level. She was already living in Atlanta. I had a desire to move to Atlanta. And the reason why was because, I'm a singer-songwriter. And I wanted to go to Atlanta to try to get my music out, and Atlanta was one of those places where there's a lot of famous people, artists, singers, and all kind of, entertainers that live out there in Atlanta. They called Atlanta the Black Hollywood. So, first what happened was I ended up meeting I met Whitney Houston through her bodyguard. I met her bodyguard first, and then, he introduced me to Whitney Houston. So I had my own little private, meet and greet with Whitney Houston. It's like, oh, wow, I'll never forget that day. And it was beautiful. It was around the time she was filming Sparkle. It was around that time. So you know, me and the bodyguard became friends. We're still very close friends to this day. Like from 2012 all the way up until today, we still talk, and you know, we're still very close. So, um, you know, me and him, when we exchanged phone numbers, it was like, yeah, send me some of your music so I can hear it and see if there's somebody I can pass it along to, right? So as we got to talking, he was like, if you lived out here, I might be able to help you a little better, because they were living in Atlanta. He was like, I could probably really help you a little more if you were closer. So I'm like, okay, well, hey, I want to move to Atlanta now, you know? So then I met my cousin who became my friend. She was my step cousin who became my friend. And hold on. All right, I'm sorry, you guys. My husband, he got his little projects going on in the basement, and I was able to hear, and I didn't want it to pick up in the video, so I had to go ask him to turn it down a little bit. So I'm sorry about that. So where was I? I was saying, so after talking to the bodyguard, I met, you know, my step cousin slash, she became my friend. And she had just moved to well, she was living in Atlanta at first, and she came back home to Detroit because her mom passed, and she was trying to help my uncle, you know, pack up her mom's things and get, you know, his house in order and everything like that. So she stayed out in Detroit for a few months, and during that time we got to know each other. Now, so this woman, I had decided to move to Atlanta with her because she's like, you know, hey, I'm going back to Atlanta when the summer starts, because she had enrolled her daughter in school here because she was in Detroit, because she planned on staying for a while to help her dad and her stepdad. So she ended up, that's how I started to talk to her and get to know her a little bit. And so we decided, hey, you know, she was an aspiring script writer. She wanted to write for Tyler Perry. And I'm like, well, shoot, I got music I want to get out. I want to take my music to Atlanta and get my music out. And shoot, if I could hook up with Tyler Perry, I'll you know, be an actress, because, you know, I know how to act, you know. So it's like, shoot, we both got dreams. We can go out there, support each other, get a place together. She had a daughter, I had a son. They were around the same age. And, you know, we could just move in together, put our little money together, and, you know, get our lives going. You know, I was cool with that because I was living in a small little town. I wasn't living in Detroit at the time. I was living in a small little town. And there was nothing going on there. So I'm like, well, shoot, let me go ahead. I'm not going to get my music anywhere being out here in this small little town. So, hey, I was ready to go. So she's showing me she's showing me houses and stuff, saying, because she said she had an aunt out in Atlanta that can help us, and if we need somewhere to stay, we can stay with her until we get a place. I also had a sister who lived out there as well. But I was like, I didn't really want to impose on my sister, because she had like a new boyfriend and everything, and she had her own little life going on. So I was going to go out there with our cousin, stay at her aunt's house, because her aunt was the one who was helping us look at houses and sending us houses and stuff. So we were going to go stay with her. So I'm like, okay, cool. You know, she was sending me houses like, yeah, my aunt, she's going to go look at this house. And, you know, she's just sending me different houses, telling me what her aunt had to say about the houses. So, I'm sorry, I forgot to turn my ringer off, notifications. So, I'm like, oh, okay, you know, she's showing me some nice houses, and then she's telling me different things about some of them. Oh, this house is not really good. She went to go see it, and it's not a really good house, or this house got roaches, or this house, you know, it's kind of far, or whatever the case was. She was in communication with her aunt while we were still in Michigan, you know, her aunt was going and doing all the footwork for us so that hopefully by the time we move out there, we'll have some options, you know. So I thought that was a good idea, you know. So I was saving up my little money because I was on SSI. And, you know, she was like, well, make sure you have your part of the money because, you know, we both got to be able to have finances. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to have my part of the money. I started selling candy. I started, you know, because I was on food stamps and stuff. At the same time, I was on, you know, EBT. I had that going on. So I would use that to buy some, you know, packs of candy and stuff like that. And I had my own little portable store kind of thing going on. I was walking around selling candy and stuff to the kids and to people. And at church, I would sell candy after church and stuff. And, you know, I would make my little money like that. And I was also selling cigarettes. I was selling loose cigarettes, y'all. Loosies, that's what they called them. Because a lot of times people who smoke cigarettes, they didn't want to have to buy a whole pack of cigarettes. It's like, hey, if I can just get a cigarette from you for 50 cents, you know, whatever. So I was doing that. Okay, this was back in 2012 before I came Minister Santina Riley. Okay, so I made my little money and I was saving up my checks, you know, just paying my rent, paying my bills, and I would save the rest. So I had a nice amount of money by the time it was time to go. So when we left, she was paying her part on the gas. I was paying my part on the gas. Everything was going fine as far as us driving out there. But once we got out there, it was like she didn't have any money. So I'm like, okay, well, we just gonna have to go to your aunt's house. And so she called her aunt. Her aunt didn't answer. And I guess later on she told me that her aunt was out of town and she was gonna be gone for a week. And I'm like, well, why would your aunt go out of town knowing that you were coming out here and knowing that you were going to need to stay with her? Because she was the one who was helping us look at all the houses. So, man, so it's like, okay, well, let's just go to my sister's house. We could probably stay there for a couple of nights. And then, you know, we can possibly fill out an application at her apartment if we like it. So I called my sister. She like, oh, yeah, come over. You know, she was happy to see us. And we went to fill out an application at her house. I had everything that I needed, you know, but I couldn't afford an apartment with just my SSI income. So she had to have her income. She didn't have nothing showing that she had an income. So that messed us up with being able to get an apartment. So then she said, well, you know, I do have some check stubs, whatever, but she had to figure out how to get them. I don't know. So we're going to all these different places filling out applications. And, you know, apartments, they have application fees. Even houses, if you apply for a house to rent, you got to pay an application fee. Sometimes it's $25, $30, $35. Sometimes they can get expensive, right? So I'm paying for everything because she didn't have any money. I'm paying for the application fees that we filling out. And she was just supposed to get her check stubs or whatever and bring it back to the place so they can put it in with our application. I'm paying for food because, you know, hey, we got to eat. We stayed at my sister's house for maybe a week, right? Then we had our trailer that we had hooked up to her car. We kept that because we didn't know where we were going to store our stuff at. So by the time we had to turn the trailer in, I had to pay for all the days that we had it. I was paying for food for us to eat. And then when we left out of my sister's house, we were staying in extended stays. I was paying for that. And she was just like, well, when my dad sent me some money, I will, you know, go ahead and pay you my part back, my part on everything. Now, I didn't really talk to my biological family like that, so I didn't think to call my uncle and say, hey, can you hurry up and send her this money because, you know, we struggling out here. I didn't think to do that. You know, I figured, you know, that's her stepdad. She could have communication. Like I said, I wasn't close to my family like that. I didn't really call them. They didn't really call me. So eventually, I ran out of money. We went out there in June, so by the end of July, all my money was gone, you know. So I'm like, well, where's your aunt? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is going on? She keep giving me these excuses about her aunt not being there. She went on a cruise. I don't know what the heck. So I'm like, well, we just gonna have to stick it out because we here now, and I'm just gonna have to, give what I have, because what else am I gonna do? I mean, I got my son out here. We're not gonna be sleeping on the street. So, this girl, when I ran out of money. At the end of the month, I didn't have any more stamps left. So it's like, let's see if my sister will let us stay with her. So we went to my sister's house. And at first, for that week that we stayed there, my sister was cool with it. But my cousin had a dog. She had a little dog. My sister is not like pet friendly like that. So my cousin had to leave her dog in the car, but the dog was barking and barking and barking and disturbing the other neighbors and disturbing the other dogs in the neighborhood. So, people were complaining. So when I asked my sister, could we stay there until, I get my money coming back on, she was like, well, you and my nephew can. But, our cousin and her daughter, they're going to have to find somewhere else to go because people complaining about her dog barking and her dog can't come in my house. So my cousin like, okay, well, I'll just go ahead and get in touch with my aunt and see if I can get in her house, and then you can stay here. And then when our finances get back together in a couple of weeks, then we'll come back together. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that was the plan. So when my stamps came back on, I called her to see if, I'm like, well, I got some stamps if you need some food, because I know she didn't have no money. But I'm thinking maybe she's staying with her aunt and her aunt is helping her out. But I'm like, if you want, to get you and your daughter some food and some snacks or whatever, you can come pick me up. We can go to the store and we can go ahead and get what you need. Because at this time, my sister had allowed us to keep our stuff in her house, because she didn't have no furniture, she didn't have no couches, no chairs, TV, none of that, right? So we basically sleeping on the floor. Now she had some people that had some stuff in her storage room, which was right next to her house, her apartment, and they had a blow up bed. So when me and my son moved in, she allowed us to use the blow up bed. But the blow-up bed had a hole in it, so it would only stay up for like a few hours, and then we on the floor. So basically, I feel like we slept on the floor. So that's how it was when we moved in. We stayed there. It was only supposed to be for a couple of weeks. My cousin, I told her, hey, we got the stamps. Let's go get some food. This girl was like, okay, I'll be over there. But she never showed up. Next thing you know, my uncle calls, which is her stepdad, and he calls my sister, because she has more communication with our biological family than I do. I didn't really talk to nobody, So he's like, why did Santina leave your cousin out there by herself and her daughter sleeping in her car? I was like, what? I didn't know she was sleeping in her car. She said she was going to her auntie's house and we were going to hook back up when I get some more money. Or when you send her some money. He said, I'm not sending that girl no money. I paid for her car. The money I gave her, she used it to get a car. So I'm like, well, dang, she lied about that. Got me thinking she about to get some money. Like she's in communication with my uncle. And he's telling her he gonna send her some money. But when I talked to him, he's like, no. I never told her I was sending her no more money. I gave her the money that I was giving her. She bought that car with it. So I'm like, well, man, And so I'm like, well, I've been paying for everything and I don't have money right now. So that's why I'm staying with my sister at this point until I can get some more money. And when my sister found out about all of that, she was upset with me. Like, why didn't you tell me that she was doing that? Why didn't you tell me? Because my sister's she's very protective of me. So she was mad at my cousin, because like I said, we didn't know her like that because she was a step cousin, so she wasn't around all the time. So my sister had called her because the girl, she wasn't answering her phone when I was calling her and everything. So my sister called her from her number and she answered. And she was like, so when you gonna pay my sister her money back and blah, 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 checking her about what my uncle said and what she said and how she lied and when she gonna pay me my part of the money. This woman had the nerve to make it seem like I owed her money and I did her wrong. Now, we supposed to be close. We supposed to be friends. I put everything I had on the line. You know what I'm saying? Then another part, my uncle said her and her aunt who lives out there in Atlanta, they're not even on talking terms. They don't have no communication. I guess they fell out a long time ago and they don't talk. So she don't have no aunt out there that's going to help her. So I'm like, I came out here under the impression that there was somebody here helping us and making sure that when we get out here, we're straight. And now you telling me she don't have? I mean, she got an aunt who live out there, but they're not close. They don't talk. They're not on speaking terms. So it's like, dang, you just got me out here and you just using me and lying, trying to make it seem like, we're good. Everything's all right. You got somebody. And this woman, I mean, I'm telling y'all, she was sending me pictures. When we both was in Michigan, she was sending me pictures of houses. Talking about, yeah, my aunt looked at this house and she's going to go look at this house tomorrow. Like, it just seemed like we had somebody being our eyes and ears and stuff in Atlanta, helping us so that when we get out there, we would have some kind of security or something to look forward to. But in actuality, we didn't. This girl got me out in Atlanta, had me spend up all my money. She didn't have no hopes of no income coming in. My uncle was not about to send her no money. She just lied and allowed me to use all my money. And then guess what happened? Like a few weeks later, she came knocking on the door. Because like I said, after all of that happened with my sister, we never talked again. She stopped answering my phone calls and everything. So a few weeks later, she came knocking on the door. My sister like, before she came knocking on the door, my sister like, that's okay. You can stay with me as long as you need to. Because that's some crap. She shouldn't have did you like that. So a few weeks later, this lady comes knocking on the door. And we got all of our stuff in my sister's house. It's just piled up, in like the little dining room area. All of her stuff and my stuff. So she comes knocking on the door a few weeks later talking about, I'm coming to get my stuff. And I'm like, no. I messed up, y'all. Because that whole phone call with my sister and stuff didn't happen until after she came and got her stuff. Because that really made her mad. But the situation with my uncle and saying she's staying in the car and she ain't got no aunt that's about to help her, that all happened when she wasn't answering her phone. But then when she came and got her stuff, I was still under the impression that, okay, well, she found somewhere to go, so maybe we all gonna go together. I didn't know anything about, that's that conversation with her and my sister talking about, and she talking about I owe her and all that. That hadn't happened yet. So I was still under the impression that, okay, if one of us gets somewhere to live or go, then we would get the other. Because that's what I would have did. If I would have got an apartment, even if it was a 2-bedroom apartment, me and my son would have stayed in the room, and I would have contacted her if I could to let her know, hey, I got a place, you and your daughter can come. And I figured she would do the same thing for me because we came out there together. So she came and got her stuff one day, and I was like, oh, what's going on? She said, I got a friend now. I guess this was a new friend, and he has a 4-bedroom house. He doesn't live in the house. This is what she's telling me. He doesn't live in the house. He just got an extra house. I guess he got money. And he's allowing her and her daughter to stay there until she get on her feet. So I'm like, so me and my son not going with you? And she like, well, he only said me and my daughter can stay. 4-bedroom house, right? So I was like, oh, well, that's nice. I'm happy for you. And she like, yeah, God takes care of his own. And I'm like, this girl wasn't even a Christian. She was into like tarot reading cards and psychics and stuff like that. But you want to sit here talking about God take care of his own. You ain't even living for God. I'm doing more living for God than you are. I mean, I wasn't living the way that I am now. I would say that I had like I was living like a fraction of a godly life. Because it was certain things that I wouldn't do because I was a Christian, but there was still things that I was doing that I shouldn't have been doing. You know what I'm saying? So I was living like a fraction of the lifestyle. I wasn't completely sold out, you know what I'm saying, like I am today. But this girl wasn't living nothing. And she gonna try to tell me about God taking care of his own. Honey, I'm God's own. I'm his child. I live, that's how I was feeling at the time. Like, shoot, I live more of a godly lifestyle than you do. You don't even acknowledge God. You don't even acknowledge Jesus. So what are we talking about here? But I ain't say that, but I knew that the way that she did it, when she said it, it was like in my spirit, I felt like she was kind of taking a shot at me. Like, yeah, God gonna take care of me because I'm his and I don't know about you kind of thing. So she got her stuff and she went and got in that man's car and she left. She didn't care about me and my son. And I would have never did her like that. I was literally, when my money came back on, I was trying to call her to tell her, hey, we back. You know what I'm saying? We can go back to looking for places and stuff now. But it's a good thing she ignored me because, I didn't know the shystiness that was going on. I didn't know. But once she figured that I was finding out, she stopped answering my phone calls. So when I told my sister what she did, how she came, because my sister was at work at the time when she came. When I told her what she did, how she came and got her stuff and left. And, my sister was mad. She was like, y'all came out here together. You spent all your money to make sure all of y'all was good until you had nothing left. Then you was willing to go back out once you got more money. You was willing to hook back up with her to try to, so y'all could finish y'all getting y'all plan together. And she do you like that? So my sister called my cousin on her phone. That's when that conversation happened. When you gonna pay my sister her part of the money back since you done moved out and you doing good, So that's when my cousin started acting like, oh, well, she owed me and I don't owe her nothing and I whatever, right? So after that, that was the end. That was the end of everything because there's no way that she believed that crap that she was telling my sister. It's like this girl is just a liar, just lying. She lied her way out here. Lied her way into using me for all my money that I had. Then left me hanging when she found a man that she was probably sleeping with the man to have a place to stay. But she was telling me that, he just had this house, this extra house that he wasn't living in. And he allowed me and my daughter. Who gonna do that? I ain't never ever met no strange man. A man who was a stranger, even if I took some time to get to know him a couple of weeks. He ain't just gonna, just let me live in his house and I'm not doing anything for the lifestyle. Ain't no way. So my sister was like, girl, don't worry about that. She probably, living with that man and having to sleep with that man in order for her and her daughter to have a roof over her head. And you not even like that. So you should be happy that you're not with her. And I'm like, yeah, sister, you're probably right. So yeah, so that's what happened between us. And like I said, she was into like witchcraft stuff. I don't know if she knew it was witchcraft, but she was into that stuff. And so after we disconnected, I ended up getting my own place eventually. And I was there for like a year. And then I ended up having to go back to Michigan because I couldn't afford to continue living in that apartment that I had. I wasn't planning on none of that stuff that I had to do. It was not the plan. You know what I'm saying? I would have never just came out there the way that I did. I would have never chosen to do that. I wouldn't have did that to my son. I got him living in the extended stays, and we don't have a stable place. Now going out there staying with my sister until we found a place, I would have did that. That's no problem because that's my family. I'm safe there. Everything's good. But if I would have known that, okay, I really don't have no place for us. My cousin really didn't have a place for us. She really didn't have nobody helping her or helping us. And we just came out there. I wouldn't have did that. I wouldn't have did that to myself. And I definitely wouldn't have did it with an 8-year-old child with me. I wouldn't have did that. So I think he was 7 at the time, getting ready to turn 8. So I'm like, no, I was upset at the way things happened. Because when I move somewhere, I got some kind of order going on. I'm not just going to move somewhere and say, okay, well, I'm out here, so now what? Especially with a child. I'm not going to do that. But that's pretty much what it was. Because she didn't have none of the stuff she said she had. So I was really hurt by how she did me. Because I was very loyal to her. I was very, I kept to my word. Everything I said I had was true. All the money that I said I had was true. Any connections that I had, it was honest connections. I was completely open and honest about everything that I brought to the table concerning this move. And she lied about everything. Everything. So, and it was terrible because she used me. She knew when she came out there she wasn't going to have no money. And she like, yeah, you got to make sure you got your end. You got enough money to pull your weight financially because I'm going to have mine. That's what she said. And come to find out, we get out there, she didn't have nothing. She didn't have no help. She didn't have no money. She didn't have no plan. Except to see what I could give. So I felt very used. I felt betrayed. Then she tried to twist it around and make it seem like I did her wrong. I was so hurt. I really was. Because I was weak. I thought we were really doing something, So the thing that made me think about this whole story was, okay, we've been on a fast for 21 days. We just ended yesterday. Yesterday was day 21. So we completed our fast. Yay! So yes, we completed our 21-day fast, but a couple of days ago, I had a dream. And in this dream, I was in a hotel room. I was in a hotel. And our ministry, had a program going on. And my phone started ringing while I was in the program. And I was trying to hang it up. I don't know why I couldn't stop this phone from ringing. I couldn't hang up the phone. I couldn't ignore the call. It was just ringing and ringing. So I stepped outside into the lobby and I answered the phone. And, whoever it was, I was talking to them on the phone for a second. I told them, I'm in the program, whatever. So after I hung up the phone, I sat on the couch for a few minutes. Next thing I know, somebody comes into the hotel and walks up to me. And she said, "You remember me?" And I was like, yeah, and I called my cousin by her name. It was my cousin, the one who did me dirty. Now I had already forgiven her, in the natural, I forgive her. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I would trust her again, but I forgive her. I still love her. I'm not gonna sit up and talk bad about her or make her look bad in any kind of way. I'm just telling my story and telling my truth. And I'm not saying it for people to hate her or for people to, talk bad about her or nothing. But that's just genuinely what happened. So when I seen her in the dream, I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm good." And, and then next thing you know, she started asking me about my living situation. She wanted to know, do I live in a house or do I live in an apartment? She trying to figure out my living situation. I was like, "Oh, we live in a nice little house." And she was like, "Oh, okay." And then she said a couple other things. that I don't remember. And then she was there with her daughter too. And I was like, hi, pretty girl. And, her daughter smiled or whatever. And then, after I answered her question about our living situation, just telling her, oh, yeah, we live in a nice little house. Then she just got up and walked towards the door. And I was following her because I'm like, okay, I'm thinking we about to try to catch up a little bit. And I'm walking to the door with her. And then she just walks out the door and closes the door. And she looked like she was disappointed. And so after she left, I'm sitting there looking like, what the heck was that? She just came here to ask me that. So when I woke up, I was like, Lord, what was that? Why did she come in my dream like that, And as I was thinking about it, I was thinking like, okay, she could have had a monitoring spirit who's been monitoring me all these years, right? This woman had a monitoring spirit because a few months ago or a while ago, I don't know if it was before I moved into this house or a little after I moved into this house, I had blocked her. We were not friends on Facebook, but for some reason I went on her page and I blocked her. Now, before she got blocked, she had access to my page. She could look on my page and see everything I was doing. And now that she's blocked, she can't see anything. So here come the devil sending, she coming in the spirit realm, asking me questions that she can't see anymore, right? I'm like, oh, so she's carrying around a monitoring spirit, monitoring me. And I was like, why was she upset? She was upset because in her eyes, I'm not supposed to succeed. I'm supposed to be stagnant. Let me tell y'all one thing about the devil. He is not fair. He don't play fair. He don't think fair. There's nothing fair about the devil. Even if you've never done anything to anybody, the devil will try to twist stuff up in people's mind to make them act like you did something to them. I never did anything to this woman. There's no reason for her to try to attack me in the spirit realm or nothing. She need to be coming to me, apologizing to me. But in her wicked mind, she wants to get back at me because like I left her, like I did her wrong. This is how, Holy Spirit is explaining it to me in my spirit. So, when it comes to the devil, like I said, he's not fair. It's not, he don't think like, okay, well, this person didn't do nothing to me, so I'm gonna leave him alone. No, he gonna mess with you just because he think he can. So this lady, in her mind, I did something wrong to her. And I have a couple other people in my life, that I've had to block that felt the same way. I told the story about one who betrayed me. And because I went on ahead and exposed her after she lied on me, now she's mad at me like I did something so wrong to her. Like, that's how the devil is. He will do some wicked stuff to you. And then when you turn away and walk away, then it's like, oh, I'm getting her back for walking away. Like, what the heck? So that's just how wicked the devil is. And this woman, come to find out, she carries a monitoring spirit. And now she does not have access to the window into my life, which was Facebook. So y'all be careful what y'all post on Facebook concerning y'all lives too, because it's all kind of things watching and lurking and looking and trying to see, what they can do, to harm you or to cause problems in your life and your family, whatever, So be careful what you post. Be careful who you call your friend, because your friend could very well be your enemy. Sometimes the devil will use people, and even when you feel like you got what you prayed for, you have to be careful to make sure that what you prayed for, that answer that you got, came from God, and the devil's not coming and tricking you, because he done got me a couple times before. It was a certain type of church I was looking for. I wanted to be a praise and worship leader. I wanted to find a church where they need a praise and worship leader. The devil sent that church to me. And I ended up going there and leading praise and worship and everything. And I had my own praise and worship team like I wanted. And next thing you know, the pastor want to sleep with me. And the pastor all attracted to me and all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, and he's married, and I'm like, man, if this man don't go sit down somewhere, he want to be controlling, and he's an African pastor, and I'm not saying all Africans are like this, but a lot of them, some of them may have like a controlling kind of thing going on in the church. I'm talking about in the church, like African pastors. A lot of them can be like that. I'm thankful my woman of God is not like that. She completely goes by the Spirit of God. She don't have no controlling spirit. But a lot of pastors, they have those controlling spirits where it's like, okay, you got to do it this way, and you're not free to allow God to use you because the pastor is telling you how, when, where, why, and what. So there's no room for God to say, okay, I want you to do this. I want you to say this like this, or sing this like this, or pray like this. They want you to pray the way that they want you to pray. They want you to sing what they want you to sing, and how long to sing, and certain things you can't sing. Like in that church, I was not allowed to minister. I was only allowed to sing the songs. And I'm like, well, how am I going to encourage the people without ministering to them as well? But he didn't like that. It's just get up there and sing your songs. And if you take too long, somebody gonna come up there and stand up there to let you know, hey, it's my turn. Like, that junk was crazy. And then on top of that, the man is attracted to me and wanting to sleep with me. I'm like, if this ain't the devil, I gotta get out of here. And I left that church. But it came with everything that I prayed for, what I was looking for in the church. That's how it started. So you got to be careful, even with this friendship. I'm like, shoot, we got a lot in common. We both are aspiring, actresses, and she wasn't a singer or songwriter, but, I wanted to act. She wanted to write. So it's like, shoot, we would have been good together. But that old wicked devil, when he stick his head in something, he gonna mess it all up. And what you prayed for will end up being completely the opposite. So that's what happened with this girl. And now that she don't have access to my page, that monitoring spirit that came in my dream trying to question me and ask me so that they can keep up with where I'm at and what's going on, so they can see what they can do to mess me up. So, and I'm like, because I was asking God, I said, well, why didn't she, it's like she didn't ask about my husband. She didn't ask about me being married. She didn't ask nothing, none of that stuff. She just asked about where I live or what kind of place I was living in. And the Holy Spirit, like, well, she already seen that before you blocked her. She already saw that you were married. She already saw that, you know what I'm saying, you don't have any more kids. I haven't talked to this lady in 12 years. So she don't know if I have any more children. She don't know if I'm married, in the natural, because I haven't talked to her. She don't know. But when she came in my dream, she was just asking about my housing situation. So the Holy Spirit, like, she already knows that. She knows you married because she's seen all of that stuff before you blocked her. But now she has no access. And it's probably been almost a year since she's had access to my page. So she's like, hey, I wonder how she living now. What she living in? Is she still living, in an apartment? Is she, you know what I'm saying? And when she found out that I'm okay and I'm living in a nice little house, she got upset and walked out like, dang, And she don't have no way to monitor, to keep up with what's going on with me because she's blocked. Yeah, so you have to be careful who you call your friend because the devil will use them. And that all comes with us having discernment. I really wish that things that we prayed for, when it came to pass, I wish that we could just trust that it came from God because, hey, the prayer was answered. So, of course, we want to say it came from God. But no, the devil's listening to our prayers. He's listening to our desires, just like that monitoring spirit that the girl has. You know what I'm saying? He got monitoring spirits listening to your prayers, listening to your desires and your thoughts. And then the devil's like, okay, well, I'm going to give her the man that she wants. She want a nice, good-looking, handsome man, that look like this and that got this money and that can take care of her and got this. But then, you know, once that man comes, it's like, oh, wow, he's everything I prayed for. I know this is God. And then you get in a relationship with the man. And then sometime down the line, or sometimes it might happen right away, you start seeing red flags. Oh, this man, he seemed like he got an abusive spirit. It'd be all this stuff that you didn't pray for, but the devil throwing it in there because he got to put wickedness in there. He's not just going to give you what you prayed for. It's going to be laced with evil. So you got this good looking man. He's nice, he's kind, and he's loving. Next thing you know, once he get comfortable, that abusive side start coming out. And he start hitting on you and doing all kind of crazy stuff. I'm sure somebody watching this video can express having a story like that. Oh, he was everything I wanted, everything I prayed for. And then once we got married, boom. He was abusing me, stealing from me, doing all kind of crazy stuff that he wasn't doing before we got married. Yeah, the devil will use what you prayed for and he will give it to you on a silver platter, but it's a trap. So that's why we have to have discernment. Meaning we have to have, you know, the Holy Spirit inside of us to help us in our spirit. Like, you know, like when you have that feeling of, oh, no, I don't think this is right. No, this don't feel right. I don't know about this. Maybe I shouldn't do this. That's that spirit of discernment working in you. You're starting to discern that something's not right. And you're starting to discern that this is not for you and you need to walk away. That's discernment. So I did have a Bible verse about friends that I was reading. And it is Proverbs. Okay. Proverbs 18 and 24. Let's go to Proverbs 18, verse 24. Uh-oh, what's going on? I don't know why this thing be doing that. Wait for my Bible app to load correctly. Okay, there we go. 24. And it reads, the New Living Translation, there are friends who destroy each other, but a real friend sticks closer than a brother. All right? So there are friends who destroy each other. There are people that will call themselves your friend, but they're out to destroy you. And that's because the devil is using them. They might not even know that they're being used by the devil. But the devil is using them to destroy you. The devil was trying to use this girl to destroy me. And still to this day, here she is coming in my dream. I wasn't thinking about this lady. I wasn't looking for her. It came out of the blue. That's how I know it was God. I didn't ask God, oh Lord, please send me something, you know, showing that this woman is okay, or nothing. God just shows you stuff when he wants you to see it. And I was fasting. So God showed me, hey, this woman is out here trying to monitor you. It's a good thing you blocked her. Keep her blocked. Because if she has access to you, then the devil is going to use her to try to mess things up for you and try to destroy you. So now I know. If I ever, maybe God showed me that because at some point I was probably going to go back and plan on unblocking her. But God is letting me know now, don't do it, because he knows in the future I might just, oh, well, it's okay. I can unblock her, you know. We don't have to, you know, talk or anything like that, but she don't have to stay blocked. So God is letting me know before that happened, hey, this woman trying to monitor you now. Don't do it. So we have to be careful and ask God for wisdom. Like the Bible says, if you need wisdom, ask our generous God for it and he will give it to you. So we have to be wise. Discernment and wisdom goes together, because if you have discernment, then you're able to use wisdom in making your decisions. And that's why it's important to have a relationship with God, because that's where wisdom comes from. Wisdom comes from God. You know? So, there's so many reasons to have a relationship. This chair be making such squeak. I hope it don't sound like I'm passing gas, y'all. This chair is just kind of like that. It makes that sound when you move around in it. But yeah, so, you know, we have to ask God for discernment and wisdom so that we'll be able to dodge the attacks of the enemy, or dodge the plots and plans of the enemy. Oh no, devil, I see that coming. I already feel it in my spirit that this ain't right. We gotta have that as children of God, because the devil comes as an angel of light, but he's evil. He'll come trying to show you that something is good. He'll come with good gifts. Oh yeah, I wanted this. I prayed for this. But then behind it is wickedness, and it's really meant to destroy you. Just like how a lot of people,